Cool. All right. Well, hello, the 0 viewers that we have so far. I hope you guys are all doing really, really well. And this is Serena from DevPost again with episode 2 of Fun Times with Tony Blank for the Context IO App Challenge. We are here to answer questions for you and generally give you an enjoyable 60 minutes. So we're just going to hang out while people begin to join, and you can look at our lovely faces.
They are quite lovely.
Thank you, by the way, for sending the cat photo later on. If people didn't tune in to episode 1, I do encourage you to go watch the last 5 minutes where we meet Tony's cat. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah, he's very large.
All right, Tony, what tech conference are you at, and how are you enjoying it so far? Have you met any really cool tech people that everyone should know about?
I mean, most tech people that I meet are really cool. So I'm currently in the Wisconsin Dells in Wisconsin at the Kalahari Resort, and the conference is called That Conference. And it's pretty cool. It's billed as the summer camp for nerds, and everybody is encouraged to bring their families. There's actually a kid track, so kids are actually speaking as part of the conference.
Really?
And they have talks like how to build robots with Legos, and
that's awesome.
I built a cool game with Scratch, the programming language Scratch for kids. So there's a lot of content. My friend Ricky, who's an evangelist for Twilio, is giving a talk, I think right now. Then the talk is how to control an underwater robot, and they're in the pool playing around with robots, and it's a talk that's suitable for children as well. So there's a lot of stuff happening. Here there's 2 water parks. So there's, I think tonight from 10:30 to 1 a.m., the conference has the water park all to ourselves. So we'll be
heading down. This is the best tech conference ever.
Yeah, and just after these office hours are over, I think there's a pig roast tonight for dinner. So I'll be heading down to that. And
how firmly are they checking IDs? Can people show up to this?
They have me tagged. So
okay.
They're tracking my my migration patterns, I think now. So I think they track it pretty close, but I'm sure
phenomenal.
I can sneak in.
That's really great. Hello, one viewer. We are just recapping the tech conference that Tony is at, which happens to have water parks and a pig roast. Sounds awesome. But in the meantime, we'd love to answer any questions that you might have. If you just joined, I'm talking to you.
You're going to ask away. And again, I'll answer any question. Doesn't really even have to be about Context IO. I mean, I'm here for the hour anyway. And if I don't know the answer, I'll definitely I'll just make one up.
Excellent. Couple of viewers now. So just a quick how-to lesson. There should be a QA button either on the top or the left side of your screen where you can add a question. And if you type in a lovely question right there, it will be sent to us, and Tony and I will get to respond to that. So don't be shy. It's a great time, and look forward to answering your questions.
If the viewers can see and hear us, if you wouldn't mind just dropping us a note. I just got a note from somebody that they can't see the video, so wondering if we're having technical issues or not. So if y'all can hear us, drop us a line.
That is a great thought. I'm going to mute and just open this up on another browser just to make sure.
Ooh, there you go.
All right, it looked like it was working for me, and I did just see, oh, somebody let us know that it was working now, so that's great. Thanks for giving us that feedback, guys. Appreciate it.
Cool. So it doesn't even have to be a question, really. If people want to talk about their app idea or something. Oh, there we go. Thank you very much, McKean.
All right, here we go. Okay, so we have a question for Jerry.
Yeah. Hey Jerry. Yeah, it is for online purchases. The receipt does have to come into the email account in order for us to fetch it. And am I back?
You are. You were just spiced for a second, but you're all good.
I got disconnected briefly. Just to continue with the answer for Jerry, there are some brick and mortar stores that send receipts via email. They usually do that to try to bolster up their mailing list numbers. I'm trying to think of a couple. I feel like it's mostly like department stores and clothing retailers and those kinds of things. And the user, of course, has to opt in to receive it. Also, I know that the payment vendor Square emails receipts out as well. So there can be some physical purchases where the receipts do flow into email accounts, but mostly it's just online purchases. I hope that helps you. Yeah, again, there's certain stores that that offer the email receipt, and if that receipt does come in, we do support a limited number of vendors. So I can't guarantee that we'll support every single brick and mortar store that offers that, but certainly reach out to us. We're very motivated to be sure that that we have coverage on the vendors that you all want to use. So if you see some receipts in your account and the parsing isn't grabbing them or doesn't seem to, certainly let Dan or myself know, and we can pass that feedback along to the parsing team. So I really appreciate you using our beta receipt parsing feature, and having people like you hack on it definitely will help us improve things.
All right, and our lovely 5 viewers, just in case any of you have not used Google Hangouts, which I'm sure you have, and maybe didn't hear me say this before, there's a QA button which you can click and add your questions. We will answer them real time. So that's how this works.
And again, I'm happy to answer any questions at all. I'm a Sagittarius.
Tony, what is the best talk that you have heard at this conference so far, since we are on the theme of this amazing conference in addition to the Context.io Challenge?
Yeah, I think one of the more interesting talks that I saw is from a friend of mine, Kirsten, who is an evangelist for Akami, the CDN provider, and she gave this really cool talk that was almost like it was all about using different devices that have APIs like Fitbits and those kinds of things to monitor personal health. And so the talk that she gave was just explaining her own kind of operating system for how she tracks food and steps and glucose levels and heart rate and all the different kinds of things about health stats and everything. And then how she mashed up Twilio and if this then that to get messages pushed on status and to help her stay motivated to stay healthy. I thought it was really interesting to see her use a wide variety of different devices, because most of us have just the one. We try to figure out, oh, I'm going to wear an Apple Watch and I'm going to do that, or whatever. So it was interesting to see a wide range of devices and different ways to make them talk to each other.
Yeah, totally. And some high-tech life hacking right there, a little biometrics.
Yeah, well, that's the great thing about being an engineer, is that we can build things that we use. Yeah, in fact, I'm really hoping that somebody.
Oh, did we lose
An
Tony?
email and 10 minutes. Oh, did you lose me?
I did for just a second. You hope that someone builds an email blank.
Yeah, an email app that saves me like 10 minutes a day. Like, how huge would that be?
All right,
I spend.
guys, did you hear that challenge? Save Tony 10 minutes a day with your app.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I spend probably 3 to 4 hours a day just in my email account, talking to developers and talking to event organizers and stuff. Oh, here we go. Cool. I can stop rambling now.
Okay. Hey, Tony, do you want to take the best growth during the submission period, and then I can take the popular choice?
Sure. Yeah. So we wanted to have a prize that is open to not only new apps that are built during the hackathon, but we wanted to also have a prize that's open to our current customers. So the best growth prize is we took a snapshot of all of the apps and their users at the start of the competition, and then we'll take a snapshot at the end, and that prize goes to the app that has grown the most users. So again, it's one that we designed more to keep our current customers engaged and give them something that they could potentially win. But it's not limited just to them. If there's a new app that comes out that achieves some viral growth here in the last couple of weeks, then they certainly would be able to win as well.
Awesome. And just to be clear on that as well, you do still need to submit your application in the normal way to be eligible for that prize. So it's not just based on the snapshot, but that definitely goes into it. So for popular choice, it's basically open to any eligible submission. So anybody who is not entering as a large organization. And what's going to happen is once all the submissions go into the gallery, we will open the popular choice and the the judging period. And each individual who has a DevPost account, and anyone can go ahead and sign up for a DevPost account, any person can go and vote for as many applications as they would like. They can vote one time per application. And then at the end of that public voting period, DevPost will vet the votes to ensure that they've followed the rules, weren't gaming the system, etc. And the application with the highest vote count will be dubbed the popular choice winner. So it is in your best interest once that voting period starts to talk about your app and get your friends to vote and get your family to vote and your mom to vote and your mom's sister to vote and like everybody, so that you have a better chance at that prize. All right, thank you. And we have one more question from Jerry.
All right. Cool. Oh, should I say the question as well? I'm not sure if, yeah, cool. So the question from Jerry is, what hoops must I jump through to get emails sent from my app to be accepted on the whitelist of acceptable receipts? So I'm wondering, are you asking if, it sounds like your app is going to be sending receipts to customers? Like maybe customers buy something from your app and there's a receipt and you want that receipt to be parsed by our parsing tech? Is that that's my question. I'm not quite sure I understand exactly what you're asking, Jerry, but if you clarify, I'd be happy to do my best to give you an answer. In the meantime, while you're typing in, I'll answer the next question that's from Norman. And that one is, oh, there we go. How to prevent the disabled account after 3 logins with the tokens. I'm having trouble with the redirect to get stuck on a context.io URL and doesn't redirect after the account details are entered the last week of the 3 leg. So I'm not exactly sure what you're asking there. Is that using Connect tokens, or is that trying to make a call to make the account first and then make a call to add the source to it, which is the email account? So let me know, and I'll do my best to give you an answer. Okay, cool. Well, so I just got a response back from Jerry on the last one. Says that I'm correct. So if your app emails receipts to people and you want our parsing tech people to grab those receipts, the best thing to do would be to send an email to Dan, our product manager. His address is dan@context.io. And we'll take a look at it. To be honest, this is one of the first requests we've gotten to add some custom receipts to that. So I'm not exactly up to speed or sure on what that process is, but Dan should be able to help you out.
My dog started to bark right next to my computer. I need him to be removed.
Is that a black lab?
This is true. There's a black lab and a pit mix and some people running up and down the stairs, so they're pretty excited about that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, based on the how I was talking about my cat last week, and I'm talking about dogs, I think it's safe to say we're all animal people.
They do make for an adventurous time.
That's right.
But not as exciting as the context.io API. Questions, please?
So I will say that this is only my maybe 3rd time in Wisconsin. And last time I was here, I definitely forgot how much they love cheese here. And I love cheese. I think it's great. It's definitely, I think it's a cheese-based economy here. So been enjoying that. Oh, here we
go. This may be for me first. So Jerry is asking if he says he wants to submit his iOS app using TestFlight. Do we know of any problems going this direction? Jerry, you're more than welcome to submit via TestFlight. I don't know if you have done this in the past few months. Since February. They changed. It's kind of iTunes Connect is running TestFlight now. So what I would suggest is try to submit your visitor test or your beta test a couple of weeks early. There is a much shorter review period, but if you're adding an external tester, which DevPost would be, it sometimes does have to go through a review at iTunes. So I would recommend trying to do that well before the deadline so that you don't run into problems there. If you want to do it that way and do a backup version using Hockey App or Crashalytics or Dewari, all of which are listed in the FAQ for the challenge, so I'll put that URL up in a minute. You can consider doing that. But TestFlight should work. Just make sure you give yourself enough time, because that has been something that people have run into in the past.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. All right, and I am putting up into the chat area the URL for those testing instructions. So.
When I did get an email from Norman, I think you're watching. He was asking how to ask a question. There's a Q&A panel on the left side that I think you can pop that out, and you should be able to type in. Is that right, Serena?
It is, and I'm just taking a quick look just to double check. Yeah, so you should be able to do that. If you aren't able to see that for any reason, I'm also watching the Google Plus page, so feel free to post a question in there as well, and I can add it in for you.
Yeah, so tomorrow at the conference, I'm going to be speaking about our the way that we currently accept data as a form of payment for the API, and talk about why we do that, and our move to move that data sharing out of the terms of service and put it directly onto our pricing page to try to be as super transparent about all that as possible. So that talk is tomorrow. I don't think it's being recorded, or else I'd share the link out with everybody. And I don't think there's a live stream either, but that's what I'm doing tomorrow.
That's awesome. Tony, any little kind of sneak preview Cliff Notes versions that you can share with us, or do we have to wait till after the main event?
No, I'm happy to talk about that. Jerry, are you? I think maybe you're asking to find the links to.
Yeah, Jerry, if you're not seeing the group chat, which is a blue kind of chat box button, I will also post it right on the event page right now for you.
Cool. Yeah, so the structure of that the talk that I'm giving, it's definitely a story talk. I talk about the history of Context.io, and I'm going to pause that and answer the next question. Cool. So this one's from McKean again. When you list messages using the Lite API, are attachments included, or is there extra work required to get the attachments? Yeah, there is extra work. So in the list message in the Lite API, I see Norman just joined. We list information about the attachments, and then you have to make a separate call to actually get the attachment. And give me 1 second, I'll pull up a link to the documentation and share it in the chat here. Give me 1 second. Come on, hotel Wi-Fi.
It's really amazing that we're able to do this at all on hotel Wi-Fi. Very cool.
I know. Let's see. Cool. So I'll just put a link into this page. There's a list call and then an instance call. And the list call, what you do, get right there on the list call is how you get a list of the attachments. Each attachment will have an attachment ID on it, and then you can do just slightly further down that page, you can do the get on the instance that actually fetches the content, and you'll need the ID, which I think is an integer. It might start at 0 or 1. I'm not sure, but it's not a long big file name. It's just going to be 0, 1, 2, that kind of thing. So that should work.
All right, it looks like we have a follow-up question from Norman, who initially had asked about preventing disabled accounts after 3 logins with tokens. He was having trouble with the redirect and getting stuck at the Context.io URL.
Yeah, so Yeah, so I'm wondering exactly which part you're getting stuck on. So it seems like that you've been able to make a token successfully. So uh, you end up with that redirect URL, and then if you redirect your users to that URL, then that flow should happen automatically after the user grants permission. Then it should redirect back to the callback URL that you provided when you made the call. For those of you listening who have not played with our Connect tokens, I'll just drop a link to the documentation in there as well. So I'll show you in the 2.0 API. We do have tokens in both Lite and 2.0. So I just pasted that in there. The only required parameter when you do that post request is the callback URL. And the way that the Connect tokens work is you create a token and you provide the callback URL. We give you a redirect URL. And what you do is you send your users to us. We have a UX flow that guides them through the authentication process. It's a little bit different depending on the email provider. And then we send them back to you at whatever callback URL that you specified. So it sounds like that Norman is having some issues with that. And what might be happening, depending on the email provider, it's possible there might be an issue on our side with that. So if in fact the problem that you're seeing is after you send your users to us, and then we either aren't sending them back to you, or there's some problem there, certainly reach out to our support team by emailing support@context.io, and we'll take a look a bit deeper and see if we can help you out. And if that is in fact not where you're having problems, feel free to clarify and type some more stuff into the Q&A panel, and I'll do my best to help you out.
Right on. Well, while we wait for that clarification, you were just about to give us the Cliff Notes version of your talk tomorrow. Practice, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I was saying it's a story talk. So I talk about the history of Context.io, and I'll just do that right now. I'll give you the 5 or 10 minute version of the talk. So we were founded in 2009 in Montreal. And we actually started off by wanting to make an email app that moves attachments from email accounts into the cloud. 2009 was right when Box and Dropbox and cloud storage from Google just was getting started. So there weren't really any apps to deal with files and attachments. So that was the app that the founders started to build. And then after about a year of trying to build out an internal API, because they recognize there's going to be differences in how that app will talk to the different email providers, they realized that was such a hassle that the API was actually more valuable and has a lot more value than the app they were trying to build. So they did a pivot, closed funding, I think late 2010, maybe 2011. No, they decided 2010 to pivot, and early 2011 they closed funding. And then it was only a year after that until we were acquired by ReturnPath. So ReturnPath is our parent company. ReturnPath is an email data company whose mission it is to help make the email ecosystem better and safer, help people that send large volumes of email out, and it helps people that receive a large volume of email. People like email providers, large companies that send out massive email marketing campaigns. ReturnPath has a lot of products that help keep everything safe, help filter spam out, and then also has some tools to help those email marketers be sure the message that they're sending out is wanted and valuable. So essentially, every email subscriber, which is us, ends up winning a bit. So we get more focused messages that have value to us. So the reason why they bought Context.io, besides us being incredibly awesome,
obviously.
Yeah, that's the first reason. Um, but in order to understand that, I think it'd be helpful if I gave you a brief background on the history of email filtering. So back when email started, there wasn't any spam. It was this golden age of email where you used email clients like Pine, and it was a command line tool and stuff. And then people realized that they could send out lots of spam and potentially make some money doing that. So the early way people filtered out spam was just through keywords. So that's words like Viagra or free or something called prawn. I'm not really sure what that is. Um, and so anyway, spammers got wise, and they realized that if they put like 3 chapters of The Great Gatsby in white text at the bottom of their email, that would outweigh the red flag words. So they managed to sneak emails past spam filters. And for those of you who might be my age or older, you might recognize you might have seen that tactic done before and have a lot of extra words in the bottoms of emails that seem kind of random. That's to get past the keyword filtering. So the email industry realized that we have to do something else, that the keywords, it's not working now, and spam's coming through, and emails becoming a lot less productive. So they moved to what's called a domain-based filtering. And what that means is that the email providers look at the email address, I'm sorry, not the email address, the IP address that is sending all these emails out. And so what Return Path did, we actually invented something called sender score. So this is like a credit score for an IP address, and it's just your reputation. So if you send out, if you try to send out thousands and thousands of emails on a brand new IP address, most likely none of them will ever get to your users. That's why if anyone's done any email marketing, you have to warm up an IP address. So you send out small volumes of emails, and you can slowly increase that. And you are essentially just kind of proving your email credit or sender score. And when your sender score gets high enough, then you're able to send out high volumes of email. And people trust. So that worked for a while, and then turns out that the spammers in the arms race of email wars, they realized that, oh, well, they could just get 1,000 IP addresses and just warm up them slowly, and then as soon as one gets trusted enough, then they fire off a whole bunch of messages. And I'll pause the story and answer the question from Norman again. So
this is great.
Cool. So reader, you get stuck at. Gotcha. I'm just reading. It's Norman posted a URL, some code in there, so I'm just taking a look at that real quick. Okay, so one thing that I would try if I were you. So just for those of you who might not be able to see the question, Norman told me that it is getting stuck at the redirect URL, and he gave me the URL, and then he provided some code that he used to create the connect token. I would try using a fully qualified URL. I see that you just put www.rurl.com, but try sticking an HTTP : / in front of that. I'm not sure if that's what's causing the issues, but that would be my first guess. And see if that works. And if not, then we're certainly here to keep working with you to be sure that that everything works out good for you.
All right. It looks like Norman has another question about where and how to submit the final app and video. That's a really good question. So when you go to contextio.devpost.com, where the competition website is placed, and you register using that blue little register button on the right sidebar, Once you've registered, that button is going to say enter a submission. It's going to change. So if you don't see it saying enter a submission, that means you're not registered or you're not logged in. So do those first. But once you're registered and you're logged into your DevPost account, you'll see a little button that says enter a submission. You click that submission and that will take you through the submission form, will allow you to input the URL to either a YouTube or a Vimeo video. Make sure those are public and already finished uploading or they won't load right. And you'll get to talk to me about it. But yeah, so put in all that good stuff you'll be able to talk about. Just kind of explain your submission, do a demo video. You'll also have the ability to either upload an APK file or send us an iOS beta link or a web URL, depending on how you've set up your app. So all of that should be in there. But I do really, really recommend going and taking a look at that submission form, even if you don't fill anything out, just so that you know kind of what's coming and what to look for. And also, you can submit early. It's not going to go public until after the submission period ends. You can keep editing it as many times as you want, but at least you know that it's already in there. So I would definitely recommend that as well.
Awesome. Cool. Shall I continue?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I was just going to add one more thing. We do actually, a human looks at each one of these submissions and we make sure that they all have everything in there that they need to. So that's another plug for submitting early, because my team and I will review them and we will reach out to you if there's anything amiss. So for your own peace of mind, it's definitely a good call. And with that, I open it to more questions and the continuation of spam via Tony Blank.
Yeah. So where were we? It was when spammers would get a lot of IP addresses, warm them up, and then send tons of spam out. The IP address would get shut down. They just move on to the next one. So I also just realized that I'm also giving a great spammers playbook too. So
make sure to try this first, and then if that doesn't work.
Cool. So anyway, awesome. Norman said that worked. So that's great. Glad to hear it. It's all right. Cool. So anyway, so that the arms race continues, right? So I guess starting it's only about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we started looking at it's called subscriber-based filtering. And so what that means is actually looking at seeing what users are doing with those messages. So not only were they delivered to the spam folder or not, or which IP address were they coming from, but looking and seeing, did that user read the message? Did the user forward the message to a friend? If a message was forwarded, that's a really good indication that that message is valuable and wanted, unless it's like really hilarious spam, because I've forwarded that to friends before too. So that might be a false positive. Anyway, but it's looking at all those things. Did they flag it as spam? Did they flag it as not spam? So it's seeing how the user interacts with the messages, and that is how spam filtering essentially works now. And of course, you can see the trend, right? The trend over time is, in order to successfully filter spam out, you need more and more and more data. So starting out, you just had a list of these red flag words. That's not a lot of data, right? And then domain-based filtering, you have to get information from the email headers, looking at the IP addresses, and so you're looking at a lot more data. And then when you lay over on top of that, Norman, when you lay over on top of that what the users are actually doing, then you get a really clear picture of what's spam and what's not. Mm-hmm. And so Return Path has a lot of products that help manage all of this. And so they acquired Context.io to get that last level of user data. So what we do is, and you probably have seen this on our webpage, it's on our pricing page. We only look at commercial emails, and we remove all of the personal identifiable information, PII. That's things like your email address, maybe your IP address, could be the last 4 digits of a credit card or of an account number. Even though that's partial data, that's still stuff that could potentially be used to ID somebody, and we certainly don't want any of that. We don't need any personal data in order to keep email safer. It's things like combinations of data, right? So it could be things like your street name, not your address, and the color of your car. Like, those are two things that by themselves wouldn't be able to identify you, but together they possibly could. So we take great care to remove all of that personal data. And we have a lot of proprietary algorithms that do that. But one of the main ways, though, that we do it is we see that message come in multiple times into multiple email accounts, because it's usually a newsletter from somebody. And then we do a diff and throw away everything that's not the same, right? So that's all the stuff that's unique between each email. So that's like your first name. Hey, Tony, here's a coupon from, I don't know, someplace I'd shop at. I'm trying to think. I don't know, Think Geek or something.
Good job not saying anything embarrassing.
I know. I had to hold it down. Yeah, this is being recorded. So, although I doubt my parents will watch, so I could probably say a lot of things. Anyway, but yeah, so we remove all that. Return Path actually has we call it a safe room. It's like a virtual safe room where we quarantine data until we have a team of specialists that look at it and verify that there's absolutely no personal information in there. And that process, it could take months. We're incredibly thorough, and we're obviously really super aware about people's privacy, and it wouldn't be good for us if there's any kind of a data breach. That's the last thing that we would want. So we take really extra special care to be sure that everything is safe and secure. And that data flows into Return Path products after it's verified to be sanitized of any personal information. So that gives you a little bit of a sense of where Connexteo started, and it tells you a bit about why Return Path bought us, and also tells you why we essentially monetize the API with data. We do have free listed on the pricing page, but in reality, your users' data is incredibly valuable, and it's so valuable that you can pay for the service with it. And we really want to be transparent and clear about that message, because if we don't talk about it, then people assume that we're doing really shady stuff with it, and we're not. We're just trying to keep the email ecosystem safe. So that's pretty much the talk. I talk a little bit in the end as like a call to action to other companies to follow our lead, and also give people a choice. We will be rolling out the ability to pay with money, and we won't touch your users' data. We're not quite ready to officially announce that yet, but that is coming. We really believe that we have to be incredibly transparent about what data is being used and how it's being used, and let all of our customers know, so you can tell your users. But then we also think it's important to give you a choice, and to give you the opportunity to opt out your users, and that's something that we feel like the entire tech industry needs. I feel like that in the coming years there's going to be some legislation that forces the tech industry to become a lot more safe and secure with data privacy, and a lot more open and transparent. And we feel like that we shouldn't be forced by any kind of government or legal authority. We should really take that burden on ourselves and police ourselves, and do things that are ethical and honest and upfront. And we hope that a lot more companies follow our lead. I mean, I certainly use Facebook. I would love it if Facebook gave me an option to pay them money and not use my data for stuff, right? Like I feel like that's something that seems almost like a basic right as an internet citizen or something. So anyway, that's what the talk is, and you got a little sneak peek here. I am giving this talk at a number of different conferences this year, so I'd imagine that that I've been filmed, and it's probably on the internet at some point.
I mean,
So
it is now, right?
it is now. It is now. So anyway, so that's what I'm talking about tomorrow, and there's more information about kind of what we're up to.
So would it be safe to say that we're kind of part of a movement right now? This is the beginning stages of a data-centric movement in email and other places online that everyone right now is competing in. You guys are part of a big deal.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely something that I hope really catches on. You know, because again, it seems like the right choice. So, got another question. What's the most common issues devs run into that I've seen? Yeah, you know, it really there's certainly a wide range of issues that I get questions about. I think probably one of the more common problems is the how to add users. So that's kind of the issue that Norman was running into, and I'll briefly talk about that right now. And I think I might have mentioned it last week too, but I'll certainly talk about it again briefly. We have two ways. One way is using connect tokens, and that's the process that I described when I was answering Norman's question, where it's a redirect dance where you send the users to us and we send them back to you after we get permission. The other way, if you want to own that whole UX flow, you can certainly make those API calls yourself. So that's things like you would make one call to make an account, and then you would make another call to add the email account to that Context.io account. So it's a little bit trickier because you'll have to build that flow yourself, and you'll have to make a couple of minor tweaks to that post on the source when you add the account based on what the email provider is. Let me paste in a blog post that we have, and that talks a bit more about adding users. I would say the other common question that we get is around webhooks and webhook timing as well. So for those of you who don't know, oh, we have another question from Norman. For those of you that don't know, webhooks are a way for us to push a notification to you whenever an email comes into the user's email account. And so you can think of it almost like a reverse API, where rather than you making a request to us, that's us making a request to your app. And we essentially push data to you about that message. And so that process has a number of questions around it. But I'll stop there, and I'll get to Norman's other question after I posted the link to the How to Add Users blog post. Cool. So Norman asks, on the topic of privacy, what's the best way for us to accept users such that we don't see user data? It seems that with the connect tokens, the email get added to my account, and then I can see all the data. Is there a way to process the data without seeing it? So no. The way that the email protocols work is that they're an all or nothing kind of a thing. Where there's no way to have granular permissions or scoped permissions or anything, and it's a limitation of the email protocols. The IMAP protocol was invented, I think, in the 70s or 80s. I should know that. I don't. And yeah, so it's all or nothing. So really, the way to do it is, we don't include message bodies by default when you list messages. So, like, say for instance, if you only need to look at the headers to figure out if your app wants to take some action on that email, I would say you wouldn't need to store that data or cache it on your side. You could just have your app look at the headers, look at the whatever field that you need to decide if that's an interesting email to your app, and then if it is, then you can go ahead and dive deeper and fetch just the data that your app might need. We have talked internally about possibly building granular permissions, and that would be where you'd be able to self-limit on your API key which API endpoints and resources you'd be able to access. Now it's a little bit of an interesting issue because the users would still have to give context.io full permission to their email accounts, because again, that's the only way that it works. But then you would be able to then self-limit yourself, and you'd be able to tell your customers, hey, we can't even access attachments or whatever. So that's work that we've talked about building out, but there's at the moment just some larger fish to fry, and so we're kind of working on that stuff first. And I don't know, a fish fry sounds like something that's very Wisconsin, so I feel good that I talked about that. Not that I'm there in Wisconsin.
Awesome. Well, we do have 8 minutes left, so if anybody has been thinking about a question, there's nothing that is too small a question, too big a question, too silly a question. If it is in your head, it is relevant. So please feel free to fire away in these last few minutes that we have.
You know, I feel like I have to show everybody what my hotel room looks like in the last couple minutes.
Get ready, guys. Get ready. This is real.
Check this out, okay? This is amazing. So there's a king size bed's nice, and then a jacuzzi right next to it.
How far apart is the king size bed from the jacuzzi? Oh, like a foot.
Looks like maybe 1 foot. So, yep, that's what my room looks like.
I mean, if you're gonna have a tech conference at Wisconsin Dells, you might as well, you know, make sure that the water part comes right back to your room, I guess.
That's right. That's right. Cool. We've got 7 minutes left. That's enough time for at least 14 questions.
Definitely.
I could also play with the drawing tools again, like
I'm
last
pretty
week.
sure everyone's been waiting for that. I don't know if you guys all got to see the last few minutes of episode 1, but it involved cat faces.
Yeah.
And other lovely tidbits that you should all go and check out. Other words to the wise. I'm thinking submissions. So we're under a month, right? We're getting pretty close here. Uploading videos, it always takes a lot longer than you think it does. I'm sure you've all experienced this already, but YouTube and Vimeo are not the fastest things when you want them to be all the time. So, you know, give yourself extra time would be my main word of wisdom for you guys on all fronts. And if you have questions, if you're seeing the submission form and you're like, I don't know how this works, I'm confused, I don't know if you got it, you can always post them in the discussion board. You can always email support@devpost.com. We have access to all of that good stuff and can check quickly for you. So feel free to do that, but definitely don't dilly-dally on that one. Norm has a final question for us. Yay!
Yeah, so here's a question from Norman. And the issue with how to prevent the disabled account after 3 logins. It seemed to happen quicker when I was using webhooks, but it still happens when I just add the 2.0 account on the web using a hotmail.com. Okay, so, So it sounds like you're still having some issues with the connect tokens. It wasn't just the HTTP : / on the redirect URL? Oh yeah, no problem. On the hotel room tour, Norma just thanked me for the tour of the hotel room. It is quite a lovely hotel room. So Norman, are you still having issues with the connect tokens, or is this, or is it something? This is a different issue, because another fairly frequent issue that devs run into is with email accounts becoming temporarily disabled, and that happens when we it usually happens when we get throttled by the email provider, which does happen sometimes if there's a large volume of emails coming in and there's a webhook on that account. Touch that account and do a sync each time we see that email. The email servers in the IMAP protocol, it was really only designed to be pinged by an app once every 10 minutes. And that time frame just doesn't really make a lot of sense with the way that modern web and mobile apps are built. Which is why we cache the headers. We can do a sync, and then you can query that, and it does only hit our servers. But sometimes if you, say, are fetching message bodies, because we don't index the message bodies or attachments or anything. We only index the headers to power features like our contacts list or threading, those kinds of things. If you, say, are fetching bodies where we have to go and talk to the server and get that data off, and you do that frequently, and that account temporarily throttled by the email provider. Okay, so I just saw that from Norman, unrelated to Connect tokens. So it sounds like I'm probably on the right track talking about the temp disabled issue. Some tricks that you can do is what you can do. We have a sync resource, and so what you can do is you can trigger a sync on that and try to see if it'll connect again. And let's see. Yeah, I'm just looking at the docs to see if there's anything else that's more useful. Oh, I see. Norman just said the disabled issue happened like 3 times in less than a month. Yeah, it does happen, and the part that makes it tricky is that different email providers have different thresholds for when they throttle. So I would just encourage you to try slowing down the calls and see if that avoids the temp disabled issue. I certainly like to run things in parallel, but I do not advise trying to run anything in parallel with fetching data off the email servers, because they'll get angry about that, I think. But there is a way where you can force the account to try to reconnect. And that's a way that if the throttling has stopped, then that will work, and that will repair the state of the account. But certainly, if you see this happen again in high frequency, don't hesitate to reach out to me or the support team, and we'll be happy to dive in and help you out.
Excellent. All right, guys, we have come to the end of episode 2 of our virtual office hours for the Context.io app challenge with Tony Blank. That was a mouthful. That was a lot. Okay, so we are going to have 2 more office hours before the submission period ends. The next one is Tuesday, the 18th at 12 p.m. Eastern. So feel free to go to the DevPost Google Plus page. You can RSVP there. We will also send out a reminder to all the registrants via an update, as we have been doing. And you can watch this, the recording of this webinar, as well as the last one, episode 1, on that DevPost Google Plus page. So don't be a stranger there. And like Tony said, there's tons of ways to get questions answered in the meantime before next Tuesday. You can post to the discussion board. You can email Tony. You can email support@DevPost. We are more than happy to answer your questions and support you in whatever way we can. So thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much. I enjoyed all the questions, and yeah, it's awesome. And Norman just said something else here. Yeah, that if you're grabbing the email bodies, that might get you throttled, but feel free to shoot me an email. I know you have my address, and I'll be happy to follow up with you on that. But to everybody who's watching and who will watch in the future, who's not here right now, it seems magical. I want to thank you for watching, and happy hacking, and I can't wait to see what everybody builds. So
Right on.
Cheers
All
and
right. See you next week,
sure.
guys. Cheers. Bye.